Hey guys, this is Lachelle from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with my February wrap-up video where I talk about the last of the books I read in the month of February 2021 and give you my February reading stats. No, February didn't go quite as I planned. I did read a lot and I enjoyed most of what I read, but I didn't read a lot of what I had planned to going in. The end of February kind of petered off in a disappointing end. But let's not get into that. First, let's talk about my reading stats. The charts and occasional lists will be up here. I read a total of 11 books in the month of February, so big difference from those 4 in January. 2,935 pages read, no hours listened, average rating 3.82, books acquired, purchased. As you saw my first reading vlog for the month of February, you see all the books that I bought online, 8 books in total, and 12 library books. I took out 12 library books. Obviously, I didn't read them all. There were a couple towards the end of the month that I took out to read in March. However, I did read 7 Own Voices books. The majority of those were Black characters written by Black authors because Black History Month. But there's 1 or 2 other own voices in there. So let's get into it. The breakdown. Genres. I read 8 fantasy, which surprises no one. 1 horror, and 2 sci-fi books. Formats. I read 5 ebooks and 6 physical books. Audience, 9 adults and 2 YA books. Identity are all gender identity, all cisgender. Honestly, it wasn't really discussed, and I don't think there was any context clues I can pull from that anyone was not cisgendered. So it is what it is. Race. 6 books with Black main characters. 1 book that was mixed. We have an ensemble cast and some Black, some Asian, and 4 books with white main characters. Sexuality, 2 female books, 1 queer. Authors, were they new to me or not? There were 5. I read 5 books with new to me authors, so that was awesome. And 6 books written by authors that were not new to me. The types, I had read 3 standalones, Who Am I? 8 books from a series, no rereads this month. And last but not least, the ratings, if you remember, the average rating is 3.83. I have 2 5-star reads, which yay for me. 3 4-star reads, 5 3.5-star reads, and 1 2.5-star read. So those are my stats. It's not bad. Considering, like I said, I read a lot of new to me authors, and the sub genres for fantasy were, ones I'm used to, but not from those authors. And yeah, I have to put this in there, finished 2 series, so I'm very happy about that. I can lay those to rest, and it's just a good feeling for completing something. So we're gonna do a quick outfit change while I talk about the books that I read this month, and I'll be back to talk about the last book I finished in the month of February. Alright, so let's talk about the books I read in the second half of the month of February. The next book I finished are two comics. The first two in the Shuri series, the Marvel Shuri comics. There are 10 comics in this series. It's by Nnedi Okorafor, which I did not know until I started reading them. And then they are illustrated by Leonard Romero, and I really like them. I own the digital comics, I own the digital comics through the Marvel Unlimited app. I think it is. Is it Marvel Unlimited? But yeah, it's the Marvel Comics app, and a couple of years ago they were offering the Shuri series, and so I got the whole thing. And I thought, you know what, it's a good time to read this during Blackathon. Especially since I'm on Team Sci-Fi and Fantasy, which this fits in for both. So, quick synopsis for the whole series. Basically, this is set in a time where T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, and the Black Panther goes off on a mission in space with mankind, not mankind, but with, I forget his name. Jesus Lord. Sorry. The thing is, the comics are on the phone that I'm filming this with, so yeah. Anyway, he goes off on a mission into space. This is a known mission. The people of Wakanda know that he is leaving the solar system, going into a black hole, I think, or maybe a wormhole. Anyway, Shuri designed this ship, and the communications is supposed to be open during the whole trip, even after they go through the black hole, but that doesn't happen. They go through, they don't know what happens to T'Challa, and now and they have no communication with them. So a little bit of time passes, like a couple of weeks, and the people of Wakanda are starting to get a little restless, and Shuri is frustrated because she can't find them. Her mom is trying to figure out what they do in the meantime for the people, and Shuri is trying to find ways to get back in contact with her brother, and yeah. So that's the overall premise through the first two comics, where, they're trying to figure out what to do. Shuri starts looking at other ways of finding him. There is some, a spiritual aspect. So I might use these for the Rita Woods prompt, Black Spirituality or Spiritualism. The spirits of the Wakandan ancestors are always with and talking to Shuri, so it's very interesting. So yeah, I've only read the first two. It's interesting. And again, as usual, it's hard to rate comics and short stories. But I guess I would give both 4 stars in this case. Now, the next thing that I read because honestly, I've read so many thick books. I wanted something quicker to put in between and give myself a little bit of a break. Um, so the comics, and then I picked up Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. This is book 1 in the Earthsinger Chronicles. This is a book I picked up for Blackathon and also for Farofeb. This is a fantasy romance series and book in particular. And in this, we're following two main characters in this, fantasy world. One character is the one character is Jasmine, the 19-year-old outcast. She has the magical ability of Earth Song, and the country she lives in, Elsira, they see those who have Earth Song as other. They are afraid of them and they treat them as less than. And Elsira's parents, one of them was a refugee from their neighboring country of Lagrimar, the neighboring country of Lagrimar, where all the Earth Singers live. The two countries are separated by this invisible barrier wall that seems to have some cracks in it and maybe slowly breaking apart. So one day, while she's coming back home from errands, she comes across Jack, the other main character. Jack is an Elsyrian soldier who was a spy on the other side of the wall. He's injured because his disguise was discovered and he's been running from Lagrimarian soldiers. Now, neither Jack nor the soldiers realize they are no longer in Lagrimar, that they crossed the border and are in Elsyra now. And all they know is that they're stuck in this valley in the storm and can't get out over the mountains or hills or whatever because of it. Jasmine and Jack decide to team up to kind of help each other out, and the story unfolds from there. It's very interesting. I'm sorry for the noise. There's all kinds of things happening today that I was not expecting. The high school across the street from me has opened up today to give COVID-19 vaccines, and so there are people lined up, and there's way more traffic than usual. This is a major street, but it's not huge, and it's a bus lane, and it's a day that there are deliveries, and so there's way more traffic, way more people, way more noise. So excuse any and all of that, please. So yeah, I like this. The magic system is different than what I'm used to. It's definitely not a hard magic system. I don't really understand how it works or what it is. It seems like, or I don't understand how it works or what it is. It seems like everyone with Earth Song, it has a different ability, and it's kind of, we're finding out stuff as Jasminda finds out things, which can be frustrating for both us, for both you and Jasmina. But Minda, excuse me. Anyway, there are some there are some plot holes. But I feel like things would have been wrapped up quicker if they did things while they were at a certain location. I didn't understand why they didn't. But yeah, this could be read as a standalone ish. If you're talking about the relationship, I checked. There are 3 novellas and then 2 more published novels in this series. The last novel will be coming out in August of this year. I definitely want to continue finishing it, but it seems like all the future books are dealing with other couples. So, no, I take it back. Not a standalone. You want to know what happens with the country. Well, like, if you don't read the epilogue, I think you would be fine without it. But, yeah, this is interesting, and I definitely want to read more. I gave this 4 stars, and I recommend it to everyone. El Penelope was one of the authors participating in Farofeb. So you can go to their website, link in the description, to find out more about her and her books, and watch some of the videos and things she's been in during the month of February. So next up, I read yet another comic, and that was Destroyer by Victor Laval. This is, I don't know if this is just a comic or a graphic novel. This contains 6 chapters. I'm not 100% sure if you can get them individually, so I'll check on that and put it down below on the screen. But if you remember, I read another Victor Laval book earlier this month. I talked about it in my mid-month wrap-up, and that was the retelling called The Ballad of Black Tom. Now, this is not a retelling, more of a follow-up of Frankenstein, and it's interesting. I guess it's like a follow-up to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So, okay. Well, this is set in 2017. It's slightly futuristic. We're following a couple of characters, so I think for the most part we're following a mother and her teenage son, Dr. Baker, and yeah. So Frankenstein's monster is still alive and has been hanging around the earth for all this time. And some scientists were aware of this, so they have been looking for him, and he's been hiding in the last couple decades, maybe, in the polar ice caps. But now they're melting, so he's coming in to check on humankind. Frankenstein's monsters seem to not like human beings because they destroy each other. Every time he checks in on humans, they attack him, or he sees them attacking each other, whether it's a war or smaller bits of violence, such as police brutality. Anyway, so or they're attacking animals. So he comes out of the polar ice caps to see whalers. Yes, that's right. Those people who go out there to kill whales for whatever reasons they have to do that. He sees them. He is not happy. He destroys their ship, and some people who are there to stop the whalers, it's not explicitly stated who or what organization they belong to, but they see him and report it to authorities, and the scientific community becomes aware that, oh, there's been another sighting of Frankenstein's monster. So the word goes out, particularly to the lab, which is run by this older white lady. Anyway, so the director of the lab, old white lady, she puts the word out to get in her best scientists, and one of them is Dr. Baker. Dr. Baker is a black woman who has left the lab. She was kicked out basically because as much as she loved science, she fell in love with a man there and got pregnant, and the director was just like, ew, basically, and kicked her out for betraying science, essentially. So Dr. Baker left and raised her son on her own, only for her son to succumb to uh, police violence and just to be improperly profiled by some white person in their window as a black man with a shotgun when it was a kid walking with his baseball bat. Police came in and killed him. So anyway, the outcome of this is that the director sent some people to go get Dr. Baker when Dr. Baker doesn't want to be got. There's a lot of interesting reveals. There is discussion on science and that whole like question, just because we can doesn't mean we should. There is discussion on police violence and crime towards black people, how people perceive black women. If they don't just lay back and take things calmly, they're perceived as a mad black woman. How white people in particular in the United States don't believe that people of color can be as smart or smarter than their white children. There's discussion on family and what makes family and what sacrifices parents can make for their children, and how the sacrifice is different between a mother and father, or between two people, whatever the parentage is. And capitalism, discussions on whether you should put first in your life, your loves for other people, or your job, financial security, all of that stuff in this little comic. And the artwork is amazing. It's illustrated by Dietrich Smith with Joanna LaFonte, but I really like the cover artist is Michaela Dawn, and I think there are individual issues because they show those individual issue covers in the back, and I absolutely love these so much. So yeah, it's very good. And this is where my outfit shall change again. Okay, so the last book I finished in the month of February was Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. I read this book for Farofeb, Fantasy Romance February. This is a book I've been looking forward to for a really long time. It's one of the books I bought. I bought an ebook from Barnes and Noble. So this was a fantasy romance. I heard about thanks to Becca and the books, and I believe it's indie published. Not indie published, but self-published by KJ Sutton. If it's not self-published, it is indie published. But the thing is, I had so much high hopes for this book, and this is the lowest rated book of the month. It took me the entire last week of February to read this, and I definitely seriously considered DNFing it. It was okay. The ending, not just the very end where we had some reveals. We had like 2 or 3 reveals at the very end. But not just that part, but a little bit more than that. We see relationships work out. Not work out, but strengthen a little bit. That's where I got more interested. So this is said to be a dark fairy romance. And I didn't feel it. I'll be honest with you. It might be because I am desensitized. Uh, the darkness for, like, there are trigger warnings in this, particularly for torture, and there's mentions of rape in this. There is what is it? Mind control kind of insinuated, and I don't know. So anyway, we're following Fortuna Sworn, who is a nightmare, the last of her kind. I didn't read the synopsis when I picked up the book finally, so I didn't realize she was the last of her kind while reading this. There's her and her brother. But anyway, she's a nightmare, and she's living in the regular everyday world. Her parents have been killed, so it's just her and her brother. And we start off the book. She's been kidnapped because these people believe she's some sort of supernatural or paranormal being. They don't know what she is yet. And while she's kidnapped, she comes across this Fae guy who's like, if I help you get out, will you do me a favor or whatever? And she's like, no. She gets herself free. She goes back home. And she's still dealing with the grief of the loss of her parents, but also the loss of her brother who went missing 2 years ago, and she's still looking for. She goes back to her mundane life for like a couple of days, and this Fae guy shows up again, and he's like, hey, I got this mirror, you should check it out. She looks in the mirror and she sees her brother, who she's been looking for 2 years. And when she confronts the Fae guy, he's like, I will help you find your brother. I know where he is, and I'll help you get him back, but you have to do a quid pro quo and marry me. So, for reasons I don't 100% understand, she agrees to this, and off they go to the Fae lands, which are underground, and we start the rest of the book with Fortuna knowing nothing and doing everything with no knowledge. So the thing is, right, there is a little bit of chemistry between her and the Fae guy, Colith, and a little, right, they kiss a little bit in the beginning, not make out, but like kiss, and it was like, okay, I can see something happening here, but then nothing happens there. They're underground for the rest of the book with one peak above ground. I was annoyed by how oblivious Fortuna was. There were too many people that she knew nothing about, that she just made assumptions about. And it was just like, girl, come on now. What kind of orphan person growing up poor are you? I don't know. I felt like her instincts should have been better. The darkness to me really came from them being underground the whole time. I was just like, but why? This whole story takes place in a very short time period, which is the other thing. So, like, I'm not knocking how little goes on, but on the other hand, I was just like, there's not really much happening. Despite the fact that Fortuna was very much trying to force things to happen and finding herself in the dumbest situations. So, like, I didn't hate Fortuna, but I was just like, girl, you annoy me. Um, so the second half of the book, is we get, as many others have said, we get kind of a Hunger Games type of thing. There are 3 challenges that Fortuna is doing. This is also very similar to A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. The end of that, where Feyre has those 3 challenges. And those were interesting. We don't really get to know anyone else. I do like that Feyre is morally gray. She's not above vengeance. And the ending is what really brought that home. And I was like, I like that. But, like, it's just, she's so tunnel vision focused on her goal of saving her brother that she doesn't consider anything else. Like, anything. And I just, from getting married to this guy to the reason why she's doing these games, I'm just like, what? And who she befriends, who she trusts, I was just like, I didn't see. I just there and then there's too many people in her life that literally no one else is aware of, that she doesn't realize. I was just it was a frustrating book, and I was just like, I thought, until I got to the last couple of chapters, that I was just like, I'm done with this, and I bought it. God. Right, but the ending has me interested for book 2, so I'll pick up, I think, Restless Slumber is the next one. But I'm definitely not buying it. So yeah, the fact that I wasn't enjoying it means that it took me the entire week, which means I didn't read any more fantasy romance, none of the other books I bought, and I was so furious about that, because I wanted to get them in. But yeah, that's how I ended February. It sucked. But I might bump this down to 2 stars, to be perfectly honest. No, I gave that 0.5 star because of the ending. That's what it was. Okay, so yeah. Now, quick reminder, I did read and participate in 3 readathons this month. That was Polarthon, and to start with, and I'll go over what I read for what prompts. For Polarthon, I was on Team Arctic Fox. Team leader was Wild Sasha on YouTube, and that was from February 1st to the 7th. I read Frost and Starlight for a book with silver on the cover, Shards of Hope for a snowy setting, The Ballad of Black Tom for a retelling, and Winter of the Witch for both icy magic and a polar fantasy. For Blackathon, the readathon that took place over the entire month of February from the 1st to the 28th, hosted by Bow Ties and Books, I was on Team Sci-Fi and Fantasy. Team leader was Darla Reeds. For Rita Wood's prompt, a book with Black spirituality and spiritualism, I read Shuri's Comics 1 and 2. For Tate Thompson prompt, Alien Civilization or Technology, I read The Lesson, by Cadwell Turnbull. I did not read anything for the Octavia Butler prompt, Time Travel. And the group book I read was The Lesson by Cadwell Turnbull. Other books that fit reading a book with a black author and black characters: Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope, The Destroyer by Victor Laval, and The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval. And lastly, for Farofeb, a readathon running from the 1st to the 28th of February. Here are the prompts and the books I read for that. For low fantasy, I read Shards of Hope by Nalini Singh and Wolf Song by T.J. Klune. Or reading a book by a Farofeb author, I read Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. I posted my TBR on Instagram. For Love the Cover, I read Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. This is the original self-published cover, I believe. And the covers have since changed, but this is the copy I happen to get from the library, and I love that silhouette thing. For the prompt to read an indie author, I read Wolf Song by T.J. Klune and Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. For reading epic fantasy, I read A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas and Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. Reading new to me author prompts, I read T.J. Klune, I read L. Penelope, I read K.J. Sutton. For reading a book with angels and gods prompt, I read A Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope and Fortuna Sworn by K.J. Sutton. How that fits, you have to read Fortuna Sworn, but I feel like it's a spoiler if I say anything, so I'm not going to. So the prompt has been on my TBR for a while. I read Shards of Hope by Nalini Singh. A long while. I've been putting it off. And I posted a cover pictures and tagged the Farofeb on Instagram. And for the last prompt, new to me magic system, I read A Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. So, those are all the books I read in the month of February. Let me know if you've read any of these. How was your reading in February? Did you participate in any of these readathons, Farofeb, Blackathon, or Polarthon? And what did you think? Overall, I enjoyed all three. I did some of the watch-alongs for Blackathon as well. And I posted my Blackathon reading vlog so you could see all of the YouTube video prompts that we had, and some went well, others I completely failed at, but I attempted them. So go and watch that. I'll link it above. I've got one last vlog coming where you can see me fail miserably reading Fortuna Sworn if you're interested. But otherwise, that is it. I thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you are new. I do these wrap-ups twice monthly, barring any issues. And my mid-March wrap-up will come fairly soon, since this is coming kind of late. But yeah, hit that notification bell so you're notified when the new videos come out. And that's all for now, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.